Hey guys, welcome back for another episode of I Am Legion for Dying Light 1 and 2. My name is Jason, the creator of the mod, and I'm here with another update. Not in-game this time. I'm going to be featuring some of the new tools that I've been working on. So sorry to be quiet for the last little bit. I've been working inside of Python, crawling through the code, trying to get these applications and these massive updates out for you guys. 1.5 is right around the corner, and along with it will come some new applications that I'm excited to get over to you guys, and I want to feature some of those tonight. If you guys have any questions, make sure to leave them here on the YouTube. Make sure to join on the Discord community, and there's a new section on the Dying Light mod server, where you can come and see some of the upcoming features for the mod as 1.5 is continuing to progress. So coming with 1.5 is that armor overhaul, complete with over 1,000 armors, new weight system, new stat system, new legendary options, over 100 new skills that can be used while wearing these different armors. Super excited to get this out to you guys. It's going to be super immersive. It's going to be really cool. Can't wait for your guys' feedback. On top of that is the new survivor options, which is a optional that allows you to toggle hunger and thirst. So you'll actually be able to use food items and water items inside the game to kind of quench your thirst and keep you going inside the game, along with a new update which I've come up with recently, which allows you to have a new spawn system inside the game that will follow the character around and impact the character in a way very similar to the Left 4 Dead 2 system that watches the player's current status, health factors, amount of allies, if you're playing with companions, if you have allies nearby. Trying to pack in as much as I can into this next update so that you guys have the most enjoyment out of 1.5. I know there's been a lot of stuff going on with the game. Looking forward to getting your guys' feedback. Looking forward to continuing to produce new content for you guys. Please stand by for this 1.5 update. It's going to be the biggest update that's come into the mod so far, and I'm super excited. I've been working overtime trying to get this out the door over to you guys for the last several months now. So please stay tuned. Let me go ahead and dive into this one application that I've been wanting to show you guys for the last couple of days. You may have seen a couple of sneak peeks if you're part of the Discord community. This is the new Mod Config application that will be coming with 1.5. So instead of where before I was having everybody have to go and manually edit the mod config, which for those of you that are aware of what the mod config looks like, it's that big file that has had thousands and thousands and thousands of changes done to it over time. That basically the idea is I wanted to be able to get you guys a version of the mod config that was very human readable previously, and so this is actually what that mod config looked like. It was this big long file with like a thank you, and you had to go down through here, and you had to go through and actually set these values in here, and a lot of people were having issues because they were accidentally deleting some little minor things and it would cause the game to crash. Well, no more. I wanted to address this issue. It's probably one of the biggest things for the mod that I wanted to get in front of, because I know how much you guys enjoy modifying the game and being able to set things to your own preferences. And so this new tool will allow you to immediately open the mod and then save into the mod without having to know anything about code, without having to adjust anything yourself. The purpose of this tool is to allow you to load that tool in and modify those files immediately using this interface. So kind of the cool part of this is that this application is dynamically loading all of the data from the mod config into it. So when you open up that mod config, it's going to go ahead and just load in all of those values just like it would if it was starting from scratch, like it had never seen these files before. It's basically going to go through and it's going to parse those files, and I've got a new file format, and kind of the hope is that you guys never have to touch this file again, because you guys will just be able to use this application. So part of the cool things about this new version is that it will be versioned, so I have versioning built into the application. I'll come back to that, but then I've also gone through and provided more syntax friendly labels here. It's a little less friendly to use, but you can still modify it. If you don't want to use my application, you can still go in here and modify this to your heart's content. It will have better comments, better labels, all sorts of things that will make it easier to follow what's going on here. But the idea is that all of that data, instead of just having to scroll through there and painfully crawl through, you can actually just immediately load that data into this config, and it will immediately parse that file. So if we go and we actually open that config up, it'll go ahead, and it's already been loaded once, so it doesn't need to reload again. You can also load in the data too. So if you have your data too available where you've installed the mod, you can just go ahead and select it, and it will immediately load that in, parse that in, and dynamically create this entire interface. So part of this interface has been going through, and I've still got a lot of work that I'm trying to do to this to try to clean this up, to make it a little bit more human friendly, so that you're able to understand what these different things are doing inside the game. But I've had a lot of fun trying to create an interface that has a ton of data. I mean, there's hundreds of options here, and I really wanted to bake these down to a simple to use, easy to use system. And I think it's my loot system that I've started playing around the concept of adding guides to the tabs as well. So by 1.5, I'm hoping to have a really good blocked out system here, so that either you have shortcuts that are telling you things like where these files are located for each section, or you're having comments that better describe what you're modifying. But the key thing here is that when you go through and you make a modification to this file, I wanted to keep it as simple as possible so that you could go through and do very quick edits to this file and change things over time. But then this is where I'm super excited about this other system that I've just added. So say you have this file that you've really wanted to baby along as the updates are coming out for I Am Legion. You will, with this tool, you'll be able to go in and actually make configurations of your own and store those inside the application. The best thing about that is they will also be version controlled. So as updates come out, basically it'll flag that file if it's no longer the correct version. And what I'm working on right now is that initially it's being sent to an archive folder so that you kind of know where your files are. And kind of the cool thing is that it actually allows you to very quickly, because I'm using a JSON format, it actually allows you to very quickly see the changes that you made. So if we pull this up, this is what the JSON data looks like. So as you're going through, it's actually just storing all of the different files or all the different references and the changes over time. The benefit of this is that the next part of this that I'm working on will allow you to update your config. So once it's been stored in an archive, I'm going to start to try to look at adding through the versioning, actually say what changed between those two files so that it can update the JSON and actually get you back in to your old config with the latest version. So that way in the future, as the updates come out, all that you'll load into this program and you'll immediately end up with like a new button here. You'll end up with some new tabs. You'll end up with some new references underneath in the subsections. But outside of that, you don't lose all your changes. So if you wanted to go in here and set up the spawn systems to have all of these different unique things that you've set up for yourself, I want to make sure that you guys actually hold on to that and that that's not being lost each time. So for example, probably one of the more tedious systems is the scream spawn system and the noise spawn system. So the day hunter, night hunter systems. And then for the scream systems, it's going to be the howler scream, volatile scream, and then the chase initial spawn. For each one of these, you know, as you guys are aware, you have the different spawn types. You have to set the mins and the maxes. You have to set these different things to be able to kind of determine, you know, how the different enemies are loaded into the game when these events happen. I want to be able to store all that data so that in the future, you don't have to worry about actually going back and setting all this information. So say, for example, we'll go ahead and I'll show you guys a use case here. So say for when the chase initially spawns, you don't want demolishers showing up. You don't want goons. We can go in here and say biter. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to update this to where this will be populated by lists in the future. So you're no longer having to type anything. It'll just be pulled in for your string data. You can choose a couple of options and then just get back into the game. So here, if we wanted to say viral, so then we've eliminated two of the bigger characters. We say we want to keep everything else here. We'll even remove the GRE volatile and we'll just go and say excellent. So we also want to remove where the player is focused when this chase first starts. So say we really like this config, we've gone through, we've made these changes, we can actually go over here to our local configs first and say store current config. So if we say that, then we're going to go in here and say, you know, chase. So once I do that, it's going to go ahead and create a local config. So from here, you have the ability to, every time you load up the system, you have the ability to load this config in immediately, but then also you have the ability to use these configs that I've already created. So by the time this releases, you'll have all of the difficulties right here. So if you want to load in any different difficulty and see what changes, you can just go here into the I Am Legion configs, load up Ultimate Survivor, load up Insanity, and then bring those in, say load, and you can actually immediately see what those look like inside the files. So when you hit load, it'll actually bring up, I'm trying to drag it over before it closes here, but you actually have like a little loading configuration here, and you can see that it's reverted those files. So those files that I've changed, it's reverted those back to what they were. Well, if we want to load back our chase file, all I have to do is click it again, and bam, we're back to where we were, and we now have two new configs. So between those two configs, based on what you have loaded, say that you create some custom config that you want to do some testing with. This is where the save game tool will come in handy, where you can set up backups for all your saves, and you can sit here and mess around with your game and kind of dial in those features that you're wanting. So for this, say we want to load in the chase file, which we've done, and then we want to go ahead and save that to the MTH config. So if we go ahead and hit save, it'll go ahead and tell you what you've changed. And if we go over here to see this change over here, you can see that it's only updated those specific values inside the config. No syntax errors, no complicated mess of trying to clean this up and understand what string values are versus these integer values, float values. You don't have to worry about that. All the heavy lifting is done. All you need to know is how to navigate this interface, and then in the future, just use it to your benefit. So the idea here is that in the future, this is going to be a config that is versioned to 1.5. As future versions come out, I'll have kind of a back end. All of this will be done on the back end, so you guys don't have to do anything. It'll get loaded in when you launch the application. It'll have the understanding of how to update those configurations so that in the future it can understand which values to pull in from the config and which ones to erase. And so by doing that, the hope is that you'll be able to immediately pull in all the changes that you've made to your config, and then you can go and set any new values that you want. And the cool thing is that after you're done setting these things, if you decide you want more biters, less biters, whatever it is, you can hit store config again, and you can just update the same file that you've already created. So once you load in that new version and it's been updated and properly loaded everything in, you can just hit store and it will fully update it with the latest version, the latest content. And my favorite part of this is that this allows you to very quickly share your configurations. So say that you want to be able to actually share this configuration with the Discord channel. You want to be able to share it online and actually have people play your version. I'm still looking at ways of creating maybe like a global config where people could upload their different configs to like Google Drive. Whatever that is, it immediately pulls those into the application. I'm still looking into it. I don't want anybody to spoil this for anybody by uploading bad configs or anything like that. So I'm still looking at what my options are here, but basically, as much as you would need to do is drag this JSON into the Discord or into a zip archive, send it over to your friends, send it over to whoever you want, and they would just add it to this config folder, and then they would immediately be able to load in your configurations so that they can see how you've modified the game. And this is going to be also something that's going to be useful for when you guys are trying to set up co-op. If you want to be able to actually go over to difficulty and dial things in very quickly for all the players that are playing the game. You can quickly modify things, save that out, send configs over to your friends, have them review settings. I'm still looking into the possibility of potentially merging configs. We'll see, but I think this is probably the biggest heavy lifting. In the future, this is going to be included as part of the launcher. So a new launcher is being created. Several new applications are being written on the back end to help you guys basically download the mod, install exactly what you want. So I am looking at the modules coming up. You know, probably the biggest thing here is I've learned a lot over the last couple of months of diving into this Python code. I want to be able to set this up to where you can install the mod exactly how you want to install the mod with the content that you want to install, and then modify the configuration exactly how you want to modify the configuration so that you can get into the game very quickly and just enjoy yourself, and you don't have to worry about actually going and modifying these files yourself. So hopefully in the future, every one of those use cases where you've logged in to the Discord and said something like, hey, how do I turn this off, or how do I do that? I am actively looking into how I can do that through writing these applications so that you're not having to go and modify anything, but the tool itself can go in and modify the mod and actually update these things for you guys. All right, guys, thank you so much for your time. Stay tuned for 1.5. It's going to be a blast. It's going to be a lot of fun. Hope you guys are enjoying killing the new payday virals. Hope to catch up with you guys on the Discord channel. If you have not subscribed to my channel, or you're interested on where you can find the links to find out more about this project, it's been a massive project, still ongoing. Make sure to check the links at the bottom of this video. Thank you guys so much, and happy gaming.